Thank you everybody for coming through. If there's anyone here from yesterday, our first interview was Tiffany, which went really dope. So I'm really glad to have Fresco here today, my great friend, photographer, content creator. Fresco has been doing photography for about 6 years now, and he's really, really dope. He really inspires me a lot. His work ethic is crazy. So if you guys ever need photos, definitely hit him up. Some of the brands that he's worked with, or actually published in Vogue, and he also works with Volatile magazine. He also works with New York Arts Council, right?
Yeah,
Um,
shout out to North Arts.
Shout out to New York Arts. That's how we work together. That's how we met, from working on that, and they've hired both of us for their ongoing projects. So I look forward to continuing to work with Fresco. And then on our own personal projects and within our business, we've hired each other as well. Oh, and can't forget Hennessy.
Ooh.
He's the brand photographer for Moet Hennessy. That's pretty dope. So yeah, let's get started. So first off, tell the people a little bit about your photography.
Oh, word. Well, just first up, a lot of people are popping in, so I just appreciate everybody for coming in. Jess Kane, who I haven't seen in ages. We went to college together. Sydney Lim, that's my homie from down the street. So, and Oakblue Clothing, what a fantastic brand, designer from Africa. So a lot of his inspiration is African design. So that's really dope that he's here. TJ Mannion, good friend of mine as well. So everybody, thank you so much for popping in. As far as my photography, it's weird because I think when it comes to photography, people expect you to shoot a certain way and make your photos look a certain way. But for me, it's more about feeling. It's more about what's happening in the moment and staying true to that. So my style, my whole ethic as far as how I want to shoot is presenting that feeling, that vibe as best possible and as honestly as possible.
Okay, dope, dope.
Mm.
What are some aspects that you think makes it unique?
I think it's the lighting choices, honestly. I feel like mood is everything. You know what I mean? It's just like with a room, like your feng shui, the lighting that you put, are you gonna have, lighting from above and everything's gonna be perfectly lit, where everything kind of pulls in this more sanitary, kind of clean look, those perfect white walls? Are you gonna do a concentrated light? Are you gonna do something off to the side, which gives you this nice kind of shadow effect? I really think lighting plays so much of a crucial role. I would honestly tell anybody, get your lighting down before you start worrying about what camera you're using, because lighting changes everything.
Facts, facts. I remember when we were shooting the New York Arts Festival, and we were on that. We went to, what was it? What's that concert hall down in New York across? Uh, I forgot the name of it. Anyway, we were at the bar and they were giving us like the free drinks and everything. And I remember how crazy you made that drink look like that had the orange on it. And you were like messing around. You're like, let me
Oh,
change the exposure and drop it down and blah, blah. And like it made the contrast from the orange and like the darkness of the photo. It just looked like really, really dope. And like I really like and appreciate, because it looks like that's also like part of your style too. I've seen you do that in a few images, and I just thought that was also pretty, unique to you and pretty dope. So that's pretty much why I asked that, because I definitely agree. As a photographer or videographer or whatever, like exposure is hella important. And they teach us how to balance the exposure, but sometimes you got to break the rules. You know what I'm saying?
hmm.
So I like how you break the rules.
You know, I was thinking the other day, and this is kind of weird because for
And
me,
back.
yo,
That's
yeah,
the one.
NJ Pack, yeah, duh. Nah, breaking the rules is important. I'm not throwing shade, but I had an ex and she was a photographer as well. And she was like, yo, you need to learn the rules to then break the rules. The rules in content creation goes back to personality. You have to do something where people will be interested in it, but then you have to make it your own too. So know what the rules are and just break them, just throw them out the window, have some fun.
Facts, facts. So tell us a little bit how your personality intertwines with who you are as a photographer and how you are able to be successful in creating images.
Hmm. So that's I'm gonna touch more on that when we talk about kind of staying relevant. But just in a nutshell, I will say that like I kind of don't work with people unless I could see us being friends. Um, Not to be like all mushy gushy, but the whole thing is like I have to want to give this skill of mine to somebody, to a business, to a company, to whatever. So your whole work ethic, your whole energy, the things that you stand by, they have to align with how my whole thing is. You know what I mean? So I try and best present myself as authentically and as open as possible. And that is the perfect gauge for figuring out who you can work with and who the people who are going to want to work with you are. You know what I mean? Like, make sure that if you're being honest, then then those people will recognize you for that, and you'll know that those are the people you want to continue working with.
Mm-hmm. Dope, dope, dope. So what does content creation mean to like different artists, or what should it mean for us right now during quarantine? Um, People who are trying to figure out, well, I don't have my photographer, I don't have my videographer here. How can I capture something?
Mm-hmm. Um, I honestly like it's kind of funny. This isn't really like new to me, like this whole quarantine thing. Like I basically live on my own. I basically like just spend a lot of time alone, so this isn't weird or strange. Like I'm kind of used to feeling like indoors. Um, and so my answer to that is experimentation. You know what I mean? Like, first and foremost, have some fun. Just experiment, like go by the window, take some photos of yourself by the window, um, grab a light, try and put that light in different places and see, whether you're using, like I was telling you the other day, a strawberry, like just put like a fruit or something weird down and just like see how that light affects things and just have fun. You know what I mean? Like just experiment, have a little fun. But the second part of your question was content creation, right?
Hmm.
So I think that means like different things. And like, so I want this to be an interactive experience. Hey, what's up, Amanda? Absolutely sweet person. She has the vintage shop that's absolutely fantastic. So check out Amanda as well. Um, Content creation is going to mean something different depending on what your business or what your even brand is. So, like, let's say Amanda, for example, she does vintage clothing, right? So, the content that she's going to create, she has to figure out a way how to tailor that to this situation and her clothing. So, I've seen some people like Ali Bird Vintage, another friend of mine, she'll do like these stories where she kind of shows the garment by itself in one element of the story, and then she'll wear it in the next one, and she might just do kind of things around the house just to kind of show how it moves. So right there, you have a story that's generated to sell her particular products, right? So you get the here's the product, and that's one part of the story. Then you get the here's me wearing the product, this is how it fits, this is how it'll flow. And then also whatever she's doing is this kind of lifestyle element. So you have to ask yourself a few questions like, what is it that you do and how do you want to showcase that? And last question would be, how do you want to tailor that to this particular situation that's happening while we're in isolation?
Yeah, dope, dope. So I think that's a great example because like if you're by yourself or whatever, you can definitely just like try on different clothes. Definitely like just place the camera up and take pictures, or you can go like the product shot route, right? Where you kind of just place the clothing or whatever you have in a certain way that's unique, and just take pictures of them every single day. Continue to put stuff on your story. Just remind people that you're there. You know what I mean? um,
Hmm.
do you have any tips for people as far as like how to take these pictures? Like, say if you don't, maybe if you're by yourself, maybe you don't have someone there to take the pictures with you, or any kind of like do-it-yourself hacks um, to kind of get like a cool picture?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, just real quick, I see a lot of people popping in and out. I just want to invite you guys because this is kind of an open forum sort of a thing. So if you have questions that you want to, or examples of your own that you specifically want to ask us, like, we use the example of a vintage dealer, but like, for example, if you make music or if you're a videographer just like Kay, I mean, nobody's as good as Kay, but you know what I mean? Like, you're doing things. So, if anybody wants to ask any questions like, hey, how would you do this with the thing that I do, feel free to ask. So with that being said, what was the question one more time?
Do you have any tips or do-it-yourself hacks for people that may not necessarily have someone else there to help them take pictures?
Yeah, well, first of all, like you gotta remember, like everybody who has a phone has a camera. And like it's just you're rife with resources. Like just I'm not even gonna talk about apps yet. Like just the phone itself, they're constantly being updated with new software, constantly being updated with new things that you could do. So I remember we were talking about this the other day because we took that selfie over at your workshop, and you were like, "How did it come out looking so good?" And I was like, "I here's my tips." One on my phone, it has a few different options. What's up, Mary? What's up, Steph? Um, the one thing that you can do is obviously set it into portrait mode, which most phones have now. So it's going to use your front-facing camera to take a photo of you. And you can also zoom in or out. So step one, try and not keep your phone at a wide angle because you're going to start looking distorted. So just, if you take two thumbs and swipe outwards, it's going to zoom in. And that'll give you a little bit more of what's called compression, and it basically just looks better to highlight a face, right? Everybody by now kind of knows shooting top down. You know what I mean? It's just a little more flattering. Focus on your face. Let's say you're shooting with a garment. Try and avoid blocking lights that are above you. So like if you're shooting like top down and you have a light right above you and your garment or let's say whatever product you're selling is below you, you're blocking that light. So you're gonna just want to move back a little bit so that light hits and then take that photo. A lot of what you'll see on Instagram or even lookbooks, they're great shots because you don't see shadows blocking, you don't see like direct harsh light. A
Right.
lot of you can see there be a window light from the side, which is what's lighting me right now. And it's a
Fill.
oh, huh?
I said a nice fill.
Yeah, right, right, right. So it's illuminating me a little bit. It's giving me a little contrast, a little depth. So definitely get familiar with some window light. And what was that last one? I feel like there's something else I could offer to with that. Um, oh, HDR. Every phone now has something called HDR. It stands for high dynamic range. For people, take it off. Like, get it off immediately. It
Get
could,
it out of
yeah, yeah, HDR just did it. Like HDR is fantastic for like landscapes. It's fantastic for inanimate objects. And I might say that a little quick, inanimate objects, so like plants, I don't know if we got some plant dealers. Garbage, I was really talking about real plants, and then I was like, it's already out. I already said it. All my people working at Home Depot with a side hustle.
They might need tips too.
You know what I mean? Um, but inanimate objects, you know what I mean? So that HDR is fantastic for that because it creates a broad range of color. So you get like really deep, awesome sort of what's it called? Contrast in your images. Your shadows will be darker, your highlights will be brighter. It looks fantastic, just not on people. So any photos that you're taking of yourself wearing a garment, I would really take high dynamic range off, like immediately. And one other thing with the portrait mode, there's a skin softening tool on some phones as well, and that could get real overboard real quick. So you don't have to turn it off, you know what I mean? Everybody wants that silky smooth skin, but don't have it on high. I wouldn't even put it on medium. Like, go low. You know what I mean? You don't want to look like a Barbie or Ken doll waxed out. It's not cute. Only wax I want to see is when a DJ's cutting. And I can't even do that right now because I'm staying at home. So
I feel you. So, long story short, HDR for the outdoors, landscapes, portrait mode for, you know, your face, for the skin, for the features type of situation.
hmm
So
hmm
I think that's great advice. I also took from that you need to have attention to detail, right? I think we all tend to forget sometimes. Even us when we're busy and moving around taking pictures, we always have to pay attention to like not blocking, you know, what's in the image, like not having our shadow in an image and stuff. Because you might be like, oh my God, that was dope. And then next thing you know, like you can't even use it, right?
hmm
Because you didn't pay attention. And also, what I've noticed is sometimes when you're taking pictures, just even what's around in your background, you know, don't have stuff hanging around. You got paper, you got your sneakers. Like,
Right.
think like these are the things that we think about when we have a job and we're working for others. So if you're doing it on your own, you definitely want to pay attention to detail, make sure everything's clean and professional. And it's not really hard. It just takes a little bit more brain power, right?
hmm
And some of the things that I'll do just to remind myself, you know, I'll make a little list, you know what I mean, and have it next to me, like to things to look out for. Because if you're doing it on your own, you don't have someone there, you don't have a second pair of eyes or someone to remind you. So sometimes you might just need to write it down. You know, the most important things that you want out of this image or this video. So.
Right. No, absolutely. And I mean, it's even more difficult because, like, let's say you're doing self-portraits or photos of yourself. Some people aren't used to that. Like you and I, actually, you and I have talked about it, but I just saw Tiff popped in. So what's up? And you and Tiff were talking about it yesterday about how you don't necessarily like doing videos of yourself. You want to do videos of other people. You want to be behind the camera. And there's a lot of people who are like that. Like I get in front of the camera very rarely. Like I want to focus on you. I don't really y'all need all this all the time. You know what I mean? But it does get challenging because like you're used to having your hands and your control of the phone, control of the camera, whatever it is you're taking, whatever content you're creating. So to like let go of that, to put it on a tripod or a light stand, sometimes it's a little weird. So absolutely, to your point, take your time. You know what I mean? Like this, it's interesting because this is a time where there really kind of aren't deadlights. Hey, yo, Tiff said sharp lineup, and TJ before was like wax.
I saw that.
Yeah, now the next tutorial is going to be on how to use a straight edge, so I got you on that. I got anybody who wants to know, just hit me in a DM. Enough requests, and I'll make a video. Um, but yeah, you know, some people we don't really want to be in front of the camera, but this is our time to do so, and we could take advantage of not having deadlines. You know what I mean? Not having this pressure to create it immediately. And in fact, we should kind of think about the future of when this thing does get done, you know, when we do finally get to be out of this. Like we should already be having content and ideas already lined up so we could just jump in and get the next thing popping. You know, we have all this time to make use of. You know, feel free to rest, feel free to take the time that you need. But also, this will end eventually. So, what's your game plan for when that happens? Oh, that.
I was like, yo, I gotta go. I gotta do the air horn. When you drop a gem, every time we do it. You know what I'm saying? We dropping the air horn. I didn't
Yeah.
get it to play yet, but you know it's there. So
Just
don't be startled.
yeah. Yo, but you were even saying like pay attention to the shot and like look at what both of us did for this video. Like both of us made sure there was a white wall behind us with no distractions. Like I don't like, I'm pretty sure this was your thought process. I want people to listen to what we're talking about and really be able to process instead of like, a flyer, some in the background, like, I don't like that movie. That's not it. Why he like that movie? Or, like that album? Nah, that was a terrible. Why has he got the album on his wall? It's distracting. So think about that. Minimize your distractions in the shot. Absolutely. Absolutely. So for content creation, again, it does mean different things. And I just wanted to take another minute to invite other people who are just joining in. If you have any questions about content creation on your end specifically, feel free to ask those. Just drop the question and we'll get to it, at some point.
Um, Someone did ask, and you touched on it a tad bit, but I think maybe you may have more to say. What kind of angles do you suggest?
Angles. Depends on the content again. For people, if you're doing like a selfie or something in a group, like let's say you're doing kind of something a little bit family-ish, if you just want to go top down, you don't want to go so high that you can tell that your neck's all back and it looks like you're trying to get out of a manhole. You know what I mean? Like you could bring that angle down a little bit, but by shooting at this angle or even a little bit lower,
Like a
never near.
45-degree angle?
Yeah, about 45. You could even come down a little bit, if we're talking numbers. But you want this angle right about here. And what that does is it just draws more attention to the face and it lets the body kind of fall out. But again, thinking about different people's ideas of content, let's say you're shooting, I don't know, some people shoot, I don't know, cool stuff like I don't know, I'm just gonna go with garments again because it's what I'm most used to talking about. I love top down, like a flat lay and just top down, so your phone is perfectly parallel with that garment or whatever object you're shooting that is being laid down, and then you have a window at a 90-degree angle, kind of over here, and so that light is coming in from this side and it's nicely illuminating whatever it is you're shooting. And what's going to happen is that light is going to kind of fall off. So it creates dimension on whatever it is that you're shooting. So
Okay.
either people, oh, Emmy's here. What's up, Emmy? That's my friend over from Wales. Shout out to Emmy. Love her. A lot of people who I absolutely adore popping in. So thank you so much for everybody who's coming in right now. It's awesome. Yes.
So also too, I want to make sure like when we explain some of these things, they're understanding that, we're still applying different concepts of photography, right? Just kind of like, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but using what you have. So even like the window idea, it's good because in photography and video, you always want to think about using soft light. You don't want hard, direct lighting on your subjects because then you're gonna get those like strong highlights and like you're gonna see the light. You don't want to see that there's a light there, right? So using something like the light, like the window, that's actually called fill light, and it's nice and soft and it drops off. I guess my question would be, and maybe it just depends on the room you're in and definitely sort of what you're shooting. But I know for us, we have you have your key light, you have
Mhm.
your fill light, and you have your backlight, right? You
Right.
don't necessarily have to use them all, but that is like the basic lights in video and photography. So do you recommend um, that if you're shooting something that you try to have like a backlight, a fill light, and a key light, or maybe a variation of two, or do you just kind of focus on one light because you want to make sure it's lit evenly, and like you said, creating dimension. Sometimes you need another light to create some type of contrast or whatever. So do you recommend that people think about those things? Maybe just having one light, like a ring light, and kind of combining that with either, lights in their house, or like you said, the window lights. And we call these practicals actually. Lights that are just there, like the sun and like the lights in your house. These are all practicals. If you bring in another light, then you know that's you kind of bringing in either a key or a fill or back, depending on how you're using it.
Well, Volatile Online just popped on, and yes,
He said one light.
yeah, I personally, in all caps. Here's a statement. I love it. No, honestly, because I'm also trying to think about, like you were saying, like this isn't just about photography. It's not just about video. And it's not even just about photographers and videographers. It's about lifestyle people. It's about, people even just wanting to share great content. And when you start adding, more lights into the situation, it becomes more complicated for the typical like lay person, if you will.
Yeah.
So I know like one of the best things to start out with is just like the one window light and to get familiar with that because it's going to be your biggest source of light, but also it's going to be your most what's it called? Like directed light, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is the lighting is going to be interesting. It's not going to be coming top down from the practical lights, like you were saying, which tend to be very flat. Like, let's say you have an object like sequins, or if you're shooting something that's glossy at all. If you're shooting with those lights straight top down that are kind of like the practicals from up above, you're going to see those highlights in that thing that you're shooting. And even if it is kind of like a matte finish, you're still going to see like that very harsh spot where that light is. Because you have to think of it as a mirror. If you're looking at a mirror in your bathroom, for example, and you can see a light in a background, that's exactly what it's going to look like on an object. There's going to be like a little ball that's not supposed to be there. And it's going to be very distracting for whatever it is you're trying to showcase. So I would just stick to that one light from the window and let that be your key. Have fun with that, experiment with that. And then if you're ready, build upon that. And just to add one more element, I would turn all of your inside lights off and I would just let the one light or that window be the only source of light and put a table close to it, empty that space out. So if you have anything you want to shoot, you can just lay it down. Great time of day would probably be like 10, 11 a.m. And then afterwards, it would be kind of like 3 to 6 p.m. just because you'll have the light kind of from the sun kind of coming in from the sides. So I
Yeah.
would say shoot around those things.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I totally agree, but I'll just give you another scenario only because it's actually
Mhm.
the scenario I'm in right now, and it
Like,
depends too. Um, for example, if you're recording yourself or taking pictures of yourself, then it's a tad bit different, right? Than if you're taking a picture of an object. Also, for me, I'm in my room, and so my light, my window is actually behind me, like to the left, and it's aligned with the house, right? So I don't get that nice sunlight like if I was in my living room, for example. I have a nice large window, and it has a white curtain, so I get that great feel, and it's dope. So in this instance, it just so works out that I have, my bedroom light, the practical light, up above, and it's hitting down. But now I have no light for my face.
Mm,
So what I'm using is actually my computer screen. So, if you see me go like this, it's because it turns off. And you see when it turns off, like I'm gonna go dark. You don't really see my face. And I'm not looking for any type of like dope lighting. So it doesn't really matter that, I'm filled and then the background is completely, I guess you could say, blown out, right? Because I have stuff on my wall, but you actually can't see it because it's white.
mm,
You see, probably like if you look right here where my fingers are, you see like the little black tape because I tape my notes up there. But
right.
you can see like with my lighting right now, it's there's not much contrast, right? It's just lit, like you said, because of that light up here, and you see the shadow under my chin. So
Mm,
if you're recording something and say you don't want this, I would say like we use bounce boards, right?
mm,
But you can use like a white little piece of the board or like paper or whatever to kind of fill that shadow underneath. And if you want something dope, like I like how, you know, you have that little contrast. You have that nice fill on this side of your face, right? And then you have some shadow here, right?
Mhm.
Gives the image some texture. So it's just, I guess you got to play around with your circumstances and what type of look you want. If you want more of a beauty look, then you want to just fill everything out. You don't want those shadows. But if you want like like a more interesting look and some contrast, right? Then you do what you said. You go next to a window and you get that fill, and then you still. I think. Do you have? I don't think you have your lights off. Do you? Are your lights on in your
All
room?
the lights are off. This is
Oh,
just for the window. And the only window that's open is this one, which is kind of like a 45-degree angle to me. And
that's why.
that's actually, yeah, and that's actually not even where the sun is hitting. The sun's actually on the other side. So this is all just basically what you said, like reflected light. This is none of this is direct.
Yeah, so that's good. So that's why it's nice and soft. But you know, if you want more of a dramatic looking stuff, then you know, kind of setup that you have is great. You even have like a little bit of the Rembrandt
Yeah,
triangle
yeah,
here.
but bring my nose over because I don't. If you're trying to go for a nice photo, when that nose comes like, yeah, where was it? That was annoying me before. Like right here where there's light and then there's like my nose and there's light again. I'm gonna bring my head down and now I'm good again.
Yeah,
But actually, to your point with using bounce cards and fill cards, um, your walls are also filling that in. So the only reason why there's enough light on my face isn't just because of that light over in the window. It's because all of my whites and a lot of the furniture is of a lighter tone. So it's all of the light is coming from different sides. Whereas, and I know we weren't going to do tutorials, but you know, like I'm going to just do something real fun real quick. So I just drew my blinds and now
that's
we have
cool.
like real drama, right? And
Yeah,
that's because right to my side over here and right to my side over here, the blinds are drawn at about a foot and a half. So the whole back of my house just went black,
yeah.
basically. I mean, you could still see a little bit, but for the
It's
most
really
part,
nice
it just
that.
went dark, right? Which, like you were saying, to your point, is a different style. And this is that more dramatic, that more kind of almost emerging from the darkness look. And watch, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So depending on how close to that light I am, I get brighter and the background gets darker. But now if I pull back, my phone is compensating and now it just got brighter and my face is still the same, what's it called, exposure. So
Yeah,
now I'm just going to open these all up again, and it's just going to and move away from the window. And now your phone is compensating once again. Now the walls look brighter, and I look brighter for that even look that you were talking about before.
I think
Um,
it's time for a. I'm gonna
yeah,
have so much fun with that.
yeah. And I mean, it's also 5:30 right now, so the light is like this is it's only going to get darker from here. That's why even my face is kind of starting to get darker and darker. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like if I was gonna do an actual like product shot, and I think Tiff said earlier that's how they do it in fashion shoots, which yes, there's a lot of natural light depending. Um, I was trying to see if she where she said that. Yeah, yeah, Tiff Styles. We do that for fashion product shoots too. Yeah. So, you know, you're probably gonna want to do this a little earlier just so that it's gonna be brighter and your phone doesn't have to compensate so much. But yeah, I mean, even at 5:30, you're still gonna get a great shot. You just gotta bring the exposure up in post, you know?
Dope, dope, dope. So, just for
Mm.
anybody that missed that little recap, you want to consider the time of the day. Um,
Mm.
during around this time when the sun's kind of going on, it's not too harsh. It's a good time. You said between like 3 to 5, right? I think you said.
3 to 5, yeah. Yeah.
And then probably in the morning time, early morning would be good too, because usually even when we shoot, we consider like sunset and sunrise because we want that soft lighting. Usually in the middle of the day, it's like really hard, really harsh. So I'm not saying to don't shoot during that time of the day, but maybe if you do, then you might need just to put, you know, a filter. So, you know, some type of curtain or something can help to filter out that light so it's not too harsh. And again, like the distance you are away from the light, like Volatile said, definitely matters. So you don't need to have a whole 3 point lighting setup in order to achieve this. And that's why I asked too, because I wanted people to realize that like you don't necessarily need to buy all of this equipment right now. You can, and I think it's great if you want to practice and you want to have your lights. You can buy some basic lights off of Amazon and understand how to, you know, go anywhere from one light to three lights. But knowing that you can just move around your house, use different windows in your house because like Fresco said earlier, depending on where the sun is, they're going to have different effects on your face or on the product that you're shooting. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that point across because you don't need a ton of stuff. This is really simple. You just need to understand how lighting works and how, you know, your camera works or how your phone works. Um, Even besides apps, I think the apps definitely give you a lot more power and control, but you can tap on different parts of your phone, you know, and allow it to concentrate on where you want, you know, the light to hit. I know you can like do that and you can bring it down, right? So it's brighter or darker in certain places. So, you know, just remembering, or even if I'm sure most people know these things but don't like remember, so maybe you might have to just play with your phone and go through it and see like, okay, what can I do, you know, to kind of change different things and get different type of effects out of it, because you just showed us how you're sitting there, you know, and you have this look here, this portrait look, and then, you know, I'm sitting here and it's about like more blown out, but then you went to the window and you close the blinds a tad bit and you got a whole dramatic look. So that's like three different exposures that we just went through right there. And we didn't set up anything, you know?
Nothing, nothing. And
So,
this is within your hands too. And just like you said, every phone, depending on whether you have Android or whether you have Apple, I know I really had to think about that for a second. Every phone, depending, also has an option that you can use for your exposure as you're shooting. So with Android, if you tap your subject as you're taking a photo, your phone is going to automatically expose for that subject. But with Apple, if you hold your subject and swipe down, the exposure is going to go down. And if you do, if you go up, your exposure is going to go up. With Android, it's different. If you tap, a little slider pops up on the side, and
mm,
you can just bring it up or down from the side and actually lock it on the top, which is awesome because once you do that, then you can kind of move around and get that same exposure. And so I did see the question. I see Brandon popped in with any apps, so we're definitely going to talk about some apps. Just wanted to say what's up to Art Callahan Photo. She's amazing. Absolutely love working with her. She does amazing portraits. So just as we were talking about portraits, she came in. That's awesome. Um, and I just do want to reiterate that, yeah, I don't, for something like this, for content creation, people have been doing social media posts without lighting, without anything, like without any extra investment other than a phone from the jump. So there's really no reason to have to go out and buy this stuff unless, again, you have deadlines and you need to start getting product out and you can't wait for that right time to start shooting during the day. But otherwise, you should be able to get just about any look that you're going for with just window light if you're shooting at the right time of day. So again, experiment, try it out. But and I believe actually Volatile suggested midday is like using a beauty dish in the studio, and I believe that's if you're outdoors, not if you're indoors. So if you want to do like a beauty dish kind of a look outdoors, you can do that midday.
yeah. Well, you can do it indoors too because like I said, depending on where your window is. So mine's is perfect because it's like on the side of my house and it's opposite of parallel, whatever.
Oh, perpendicular.
Perpendicular with how the sun rises. So it's never like totally direct, but it's enough, and the window is big enough that you have like a lot of light. And then I have white curtains that are not like they're see-through, you know, they're not opaque where they completely cut out the light like yours. So I've stood in front of the window before and used that to take a picture, and usually it's pretty good. I don't really have any shadows, but again, if you do have a shadow, I actually have. I'm just gonna grab it really quick. You can
Mhm.
get it from Home Depot.
Hey, what's up? Break a leg. ENC, a few of my people just popped in. What's up, Heather? If you haven't watched the movie The Heathers, please watch it because it's hilarious. Um, Break a Leg, doing amazing things in Jersey City, Hudson County for the hip hop and our rap community.
So
So
it's fine. But you can't see the whole thing, but you can get these foam boards. I usually just pull this off, but these foam boards, and it has silver on the inside from
mhm,
Home Depot, and they cut them down for you. But I wanted, you know, I wanted a big one because I usually use it outside. But you can
mhm.
cut literally a little piece of a foam board, or you can use like poster boards that you use for projects in school, and just put it like right here. You know what I mean? And then you get that nice fill underneath. You know, for those if you're doing makeup, you know, makeup tutorials, or you know, you're just want to take pictures of people's faces, and I think that's a perfect way to do that.
Amazing. Just laughing at Heather, but yeah, no, absolutely. Those foam boards are perfect. I have a few myself actually, and I started using ones that I think I got at CVS, which aren't as big as those, but it's more for like projects, and they're, I don't know. Let me give you a number. They're about 4 feet tall, so they're not super big. But I mean, again, for our purposes right here, let's say, somebody's trying to light a situation like this. If, I mean, look at what's in the frame. It's just the top of my head and just like mid chest.
Yeah.
So you could get away with something a lot smaller, filling in light on this side. Absolutely. If you want to go for that even look, like I love contrast, I love shadows. So that's just my thing. That's why this is totally cool for me. But yeah, if you like with the sun coming this way and a whiteboard right on this side, it'll just bounce that light back into your face and even it out real nicely. Absolutely. And I don't know, what do you think? Should we touch on apps right quick? Just because
Yeah, let's move on.
I don't want to leave anybody hanging.
Yeah, let's
Um,
move on to the apps. So I think they get the point. You know, and now it's just up to them to kind of like figure out what's in their house, and you know, figure out different variations of stuff. So
Yeah, no, and let me just take that moment then just to reiterate, it's amazing to just do some DIY stuff. Like every house for the most part has printer paper somewhere. And every house for the most part has cardboard somewhere. So if you need a solid surface and a white, kind of face, then just get your cardboard, whatever size you can find, obviously from a box, just cut it down. And I would use maybe 3 layers of printer paper just because you don't want that brown to creep through from the cardboard. So
yeah,
about 3 layers of printer paper, just glue it on there, and boom, you just made yourself a DIY bounce board. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you know, what was that? Like, yeah, no, I've
that's not
like
that's dope.
it's since I've made soft boxes for my speed lights before out of cardboard boxes. Like, I really wanted to get like beautiful images on like a $0 budget. So again, this isn't new for me. Like finally I can afford the cool stuff. But like you can make anything out of cardboard boxes. Like cardboard boxes, rip up a white t-shirt and you just made a soft box. Like it's super easy. Like and have a blast doing it.
Actually, you know what? Since we're talking about that, the bounce board, I think it's probably important to talk about the opposite. What if you don't want that light, you know, that fill, and you can't achieve what you have because, like, for example, your wall, it doesn't seem like it's like pure white, but if you're wall is like pure white and the sun is directly hitting it, but you don't want all that light, you can put like a black t-shirt, you can put a black sheet, or whatever on that cardboard instead. So now the light is being absorbed instead of bouncing off. So now you can create that shadow or just take away some of that fill from the side of your face instead of instead of having that extra lighting if you're not doing like beauty lighting and stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in addition to that, go back if you have shades, not shades, curtains.
Yeah.
That's also like the easiest way without having to go and build anything or glue anything together. Just go right over to those curtains and just tighten them so that like the space where my head is the only part where light is coming in. And there you will get that very cool, direct kind of contrasted light, even on a very bright day. Like just draw those curtains in. You
Yeah.
know,
They're
no nothing. That's
they're
it.
going in. Somebody said, now you talking about colors. I'm like, well, okay.
No, but yo, yeah, shout out to Adrian. Yes, a negative fill. And with TJ, yeah, no, I mean like, because Instagram has a lot of cool shots too with like all these colors and like usages. So you could go wild. Like if you want to have like a red kind of shadow tone going on, just yeah, grab some cardboard, paint it red, and just have something holding it right about here, and the whole side of your face is just going to be red right here, and then it's going to be nicely lit on this side. So yeah, totally, that's absolutely a thing. What's up, Chels? That's my homegirl from college, so that's what's up. Yeah, no, have like seriously experiment. Like there's so many things that you can do, and it's just a matter of like just trial and error. I think TJ said it earlier, these aren't the film days anymore, and I know probably a few people don't even remember what film is, but
Or
like
no at all.
you know what I mean? They're like, it's an effect. It's a filter I can use. No, like it isn't the film days. Like you don't have 12, 24 exposures and you're not limited. Like take a million shots, go through them. Which one's the best angle? Which one makes your head look proportionate to your body? You know what I mean? Which one makes your hips look a little bigger if you're trying to accentuate? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different things that you can achieve again without any equipment, without any gear, just some curtains, some sunlight, and a cell phone with a half decent camera. Absolutely.
And for some of you, because I know some people, I know some of my clients, they go and they buy starter cameras, which I always promote. Like I love that they do that because I think it helps them to be able to create some things that I don't need to focus on. But just to your point, I think it is good to, we're going to talk about just using your cell phone for people who, don't have a camera, but there are a lot of people who have small basic cameras. So just so you know, just like he talked about as far as like being in wide, with the cell phone, and you told them to kind of zoom in so that their head doesn't look, awkward. So if you do have a camera, just keep that in mind. If you have a wide angle lens, then you want to use that same concept. Don't go close up with the wide angle lens because now your head's going to look weird. Try to get a zoom lens, use a zoom lens if you want a close up look, a headshot or whatever, because then it's going to be like distorted. So
Right. It'll look, just to give you guys perspective, it'll
yeah,
look,
we're
and
done.
listen, Jesse. Uh, yeah, oh, so all right, I see. Just to give you perspective, yeah, the wider your lens, the focal length on your lens, the wider that is, even on your phone, if you have it all the way zoomed out, it's going to create something closer to a fisheye effect where everything looks really rounded and weird. So even if you don't have the ability to zoom in or a zoom lens, like for example, my phone users, if you just take your thumbs and zoom, press them outwards and zoom in with what the phone does, even though it's not a physical zoom, the phone has the technology to kind of, freak it so that the quality you're not losing too much. and it will still give you more of a portrait look than just shooting what your natural phone focal distance is.
Nice face again.
Yeah.
Instagram don't want us to live.
They don't. No, I mean, there was like 3 other live videos going on before when I was looking, so they could have been anywhere in the world, but they chose to be with us. That's what's up.
Well, we actually had it said about 116 people, so I think
Wow.
we're doing something.
Wow.
But
Oh,
it,
that's
yeah, but it averaged about 16. I see like about 16 people at a time, so these people kind of popping in and out. But total, we had at least 116 people tuning in at one point. So dope. You know, there's clearly information that people want to learn from us, and I think that this is a wonderful, and I'd like to keep it going. I think you've already started on your journey of sharing information, so it's like you're already there. You're dropping a bunch of gems already for us.
no, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I mean, it's just like, one of the other things you were talking about yesterday was just like being around people who inspire you and who continue to motivate you. So it's like, sorry, Jason, but yeah, Kay is a real cool person. I really mess with her. I'm gonna say it on IG Live. She's also my best friend. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We inspire you. That's how you do it.
And shout out Kalima just popped in. Black Prez, appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bro, yo, by the way, graphic design, hit him up. Olu Black Press, he has his own company. He also prints shirts and prints just about any damn thing that you need. But he also can create the designs as well. So holla at him if that's something y'all need.
Absolutely, Black Prez, appreciate you, man. And Jason feeling a little upset right now. I'm throwing shade. I love you, bro. You my bro, man. You my bro. So all right, let's pop into the app question.
Yeah.
Because once you have your cell phone and your computer, rather your camera, you got that all set up. The next step is what are you going to be able, how are you going to manipulate that image to your needs, whether it's a black and white, whether it's a higher contrast, whether you want to play with the color effects that you have, which is called color grading, Kay knows. What are some great options for that? And so I'm going to type the names, but I'm also going to talk about each one. Pixar is a great one. People love Visco, which I haven't been on in a while, but Visco is really cool. There was one that I just used. I'll have to mention that one later. Obviously Lightroom Mobile. If you have a Adobe CC membership, you have access to Lightroom on your phone, and that's an absolutely fantastic professional app that you can use. But again, this is more for the lay people, people who don't have like Adobe subscriptions and, high-end editing software. Visco, VSCO, and Pixar are both really fantastic. Google used to have one called Snapseed, but I think that was consumed into its into its Google Photos. So Google Photos is another option that has a lot of great manipulation sliders and tools that you can use. But my biggest two for sure are Visco and Pixar.
Yeah.
The reason why I like Pixar a little bit was because at the time they didn't have a curve slider, or not a curve slider, but just a curve toner. And what a curve toner does is it does two things. It breaks a photo down into its channels, which is red, green, and blue. So every photo that you'll see created by a phone or 8-bit. Okay, so let me answer TJ real quick. They are for photo, post-production, photo manipulation. They are great for once you take the photo, and let's say you took it in kind of a darker scene or maybe a brighter scene, like it wasn't for whatever reason to your liking. These are great apps for going in and making changes to that image that look professional, that don't degrade the quality. And when you export the image, you're able to retain a lot of the original size and, again, the quality that you got when you first took the picture. A lot of free apps, which, by the way, these two are free, VSCO and PixArt, they are both free apps. Um, a lot of the free ones aren't great at exporting. So the photo that you initially took is going to be degraded by most apps when you export it. But VSCO and PixArt, if they do, it's not really noticeable. So those are my two favorites, my two tops. But the reason why I like PixArt, and that's Instagram itself. Yes, Instagram also. How could I forget? I like never use anything on Instagram except for one thing actually. I read somewhere that it helps with the algorithm that if you post an image or a story on Instagram in particular, if you use an Instagram filter and bring the slider down to like, 2 or 3%, Instagram gives your photo a little bit more attention because you're using Instagram filters, and
Really?
the algorithm pays a little bit more attention to it. So
Wow.
yeah, TJ, to your point, yeah, Instagram does have editing tools that you can use. They're a little limited, which is why I would go with like a PixArt or something else. But even your flyer, like I still added an effect and just brought the slider like down to like 3%, just so it was like, oh, I used your filter, cool, man,
So does it have to be a filter, or maybe like if you just adjusted the warmth to something a little bit, or does it have to be specifically a filter?
I'm not sure. That I'm honestly not sure about that. I only read that it was filters, but I would imagine,
That's interesting. So they have a bias against you if you don't use it.
Mhm. Well, think about it. It's business. Like, imagine going into a restaurant and, like you order scallops. I don't know why I'm thinking that I'm allergic to scallops, but like you order scallops, but you bring your own bottle of wine and it's not a BYOB. You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, really though?
No, I
You
mean I get what you're saying, but it's still like it's you're not necessarily bringing a whole nother product to the table though. It's just like enhancing. I would say probably more of like if you if you like sprinkled your own seasons on it, then you might get offended, right? The chef's like this, like I just cooked that meal on adobo, like.
yeah. I,
But a whole bottle. You
you know
gotta
what?
pay. I don't know. You're still paying for
Kay
it.
wins this round against the Instagram algorithm. You win this round, I think.
Oh, someone said only the filter.
Yeah, shout out Kalima. Yeah, yeah. I think it's only the filter, but I mean it would make sense that if you use their system for that they would give you favorability, but is what it is, kind of a thing.
That's good to know though, because I never knew that. So we gonna give you another.
Keep them coming. Yes. Yeah, so PixArt and Visco, a few of the apps that you could use. People know that bring your own hot sauce to the to the restaurant. You are not wrong, sir.
I know
I'm not
some
an
people that do
A1
that.
steak sauce fan. I need my specific seasoning and sauces. If it's not Hellman's, I don't want
Yo, sometimes you need that shit though.
it. Word.
Real talk.
So yeah, Pixar or Visco. Visco, I haven't been on it in a while. I'm sure they've changed things and added some what's it called? Some resources, some tools. But Pixar from the jump has just always had these great options for editing your photos, and it just always felt like a little bit more robust. And on the professional side, I was bringing up a tone curve, which gets a little mathematical, but what I will say just in a nutshell is it's a line where the top part of this diagonal line refers to your brightest whites in a photo, and the bottom line at your diagonal bottom refers to your darkest blacks in the photo, and then all of the colors in between are on that line. So you can take a point and bring it up, and the closer it is to the top, the brighter parts of the image will become. Whereas then you could take that same line, you're not using any different lines, it's just one line. You can come down on that line, and now you're in your shadows. So if you bring that down, you now have a very high contrast image that your highlights are brighter and your shadows are darker. And it just, because it's that one single line that's affecting your brightness, you're having a really clean transition between the brightest part of your photo and the darkest part of your photo. So PicsArt has that, but Lightroom, Photoshop, all of those, that was something that's been very crucial in photo editing since like, for I guess, for I don't know when it was introduced, but it's like a mainstay. Like you're always using tone curves when you're editing photos.
Nice.
The second use for that, I was bringing more about the channels. We now have 3 lines, and those lines refer to your colors in the photo, which are red, green, and blue, RGB. So let's say like this particular shot of me right now, depending on your phone, might be coming across as a little closer to orange or a little closer to blue. So if you take that red slider and you bring it up, your red tones only are going to get brighter. But then if you bring it down, the opposite of red, in computers and photo editing, digital photo manipulation, the opposite would be cyan, which is like a light blue. So then it'll kind of start coming into your bluer tones, and it'll even that shot's look out a little better. So you just have more precise control over how you're editing that photo. But even simpler things, cropping your shots, getting rid of like blemishes and pimples. PicsArt and VSCO both have those options. So you just tap on a pimple and boom, it goes away. You know what? I don't give Facetune enough attention either. Facetune is a good one. I feel like people really misuse it, but it is a really valuable resource because I did remember using Facetune one time and just to test it out. And it actually has like really robust tools as well. So I'll add Facetune to the list. They do some really cool things on that app. Just again, if your photo looks waxy, if your videos are looking waxy, you've gone too far. Like,
yeah, people OD.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you can get those effects with how you light yourself. Like, my skin looks better than it actually is because I'm not using direct light. Like, this is all completely ambient light. I don't need Facetune because it's how you light it. But if I really wanted to go off, I guess I could, I don't know, get like mad cute. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Nah, that's some good info. I just want to say, for video, for those that are, because all of those are for photos, and I don't go too extra with the photo editing, but when I do, I definitely like to use VSCO. Um, we also have, I'm not sure about the Windows phones, but the iPhones, you know, there's the iMovie video editor that you can use, and then there's also, I've seen people use like InShot, and like LumaFusion. Those are pretty good video editing tools, and I don't necessarily use them a lot, but I'm only bringing them up because I just want to remind people this discussion is about for people who don't have the tools and like basic DIY things that you can do right now while you're in quarantine and while you don't have your director and your photographer to be, you know, kind of helping you create things. These are some good tools that you can download so that you can edit your own photos, so you can edit your own videos, have little snapshots of things. So again, check out your phone. You should have, unless you deleted the app, you should have iMovie on there automatically. Try downloading LumaFusion and also InShot Video.
And are these free resources? Are they like monthly? How's that work with those?
Free.
Free? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
Actually, wait, before I forget, TikTok for like really light video editing is actually really good too.
yeah. So
Because
let's
you
talk
can,
about that. Let's go into because we were gonna talk about TikTok anyway, and
yeah.
like the rise of that.
Yeah, well, so that kind of pops into like the relevance element too, is like if you think about what TikTok is and how people are using it, it's actually really interesting. You have a lot of people in the music space, I'm realizing, where they'll add kind of like their kind of songs, almost like the SoundCloud era, but like now it's on TikTok. So they'll put songs up and then you have I don't know, I guess TikTokers, which essentially are your influencers, and those people doing their dance, doing their, making content to these people's music, so that gets people's attention. But TikTok also allows you to post. Shout out Black Press, yeah, great vibes, man, great vibes. I love that. TikTok also allows you to post their videos onto an Instagram story. So what I did earlier today was I did a TikTok just to kind of showcase that. So if anybody, once this is over, goes onto my story, you'll see a TikTok video that I made just this morning. And it's again, it's on my Instagram story, but I made it on TikTok. And what's great as far as it being a resource is, and just for the people who just popped in, TikTok as a resource for video editing and what's it called, and for relevance, like having fun, something cool. Um, TikTok videos, they basically allow you to do segmented cuts of a shot and bring those segments in together to then form like a story or a video or just essentially content. It also has, well, I'm sorry, what was that?
That my phone just doesn't want to stay up.
No, your phone's just like,
Just leaning.
word. Oh, so I have a light on the timer, so now I don't know if I just got orange, but that's that nice backlight you were talking about. TikTok, yes. So TikTok allows you to make basically like little mini movies. So if you go onto the app, you could do it one of two ways. You can either use the app itself and film each of those segments, and then use filters for transitions, filters like kind of to augment the shot, whether it be like little butterflies flying around or like the way that the shot transitions, where it just like swoops kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Um, or you can import your own video and photo content and you can mix between the two. So if you do want photo, if you do want video, they can exist, they can coexist. So if you use that resource, you can not only make this really cool little snippet of a video, but which again, a valuable resource for just about anybody, depending on how you want to use it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's just perfect for getting almost a pseudo professional look, where you don't necessarily have to post on TikTok if that's not really your vibe, but you can use the content that you make on TikTok and then put it on your Instagram story, and it's just fun. Like it's a fun little kind of thing, and that's so we'll talk about fun and personality once we talk about relevance, and I can be kind of short spoken about that a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. So going back to because I just want to make sure we tie all this in, especially for people are kind of popping in and out. So we talked earlier about like exposure and using, what you have to light the scene. So now when you combine the nice exposure using the windows and the practical lights, and now you have like the actual, software, the TikTok to edit those segments, you can create something with each aspect and then just put it wherever you want it to live. Like he said, it doesn't have to stay on TikTok, but you can use TikTok as an editing tool, and just make sure that when you create your TikTok that you are paying attention to your exposure so that the video can look nice, and also you're paying attention to detail and what's inside the frame, the field of view for the image. I saw a question.
Yeah, yeah. How long are the TikTok videos, or how long do you have for the TikTok videos? Just a quick thing. Shout out Miles, the little homie. That's Steph's kid. Super cute. He's gonna be a model one day. I just want everybody to know because he is adorable. So shout out Miles and shout out Lauren Laws Photography. She does amazing boudoir photography, so definitely check her out. Um, the length of the videos, I imagine it's fairly long actually, because like the video that I posted today was like I didn't mean it was actually longer than what I posted. So you definitely get the full Instagram story, if not full, like multiple Instagram stories out of it. But for practical reasons, I would say maybe 30-ish seconds, give or take.
Okay.
Let's say, give or take. I think it's a little bit longer than that, but I've never tried maxing TikTok out before. I'm just using it for video and then popping it into Instagram anyway. So,
Yeah. So I mean, typically you don't really want to have anything over a minute anyway. For social media, I feel like
mhm.
you know, unless it's going on your the IGTV, but
Right.
even then, I really don't. I'm not the type of person that believes in like really long videos. So
Yeah, I mean, people's attention span is kind of low. I mean, like, even if it's an interesting topic, I think, like, you gotta
6 seconds.
like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta hit them, like, immediately. Interesting fact, actually, for the music side of content creators, uh, there is a shift in how music is being listened to. So I was reading this article this one time that was saying that a lot of the reason why, you know, songs like Queen, for example, like all of their intros were like they would take ages for a song to start. The way, you know what I mean? And it was cool. Like it's definitely dope for if you're an older head. Like I love Queen. Like they have great music, but like it takes forever for the song to start and people want to like dance now, right?
Yeah.
So in order for a song to count, you have to listen for I think it's like 10 to 15 seconds like on Apple Music, Spotify before it counts as like a full listen. So if people don't listen for those full 10 to 15 seconds and they just skip the song, then it won't be recorded as an actual listen.
Right.
So again, for those music content creators out there, if you're going to be putting music on iTunes or any platform, Spotify, whatever, you see a lot more people, especially like Drake, where their songs start like immediately. Like there's like no intro. It's just like sometimes the words they're already talking by the time the song started. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and TikTok is a really good example of that because all of their songs are literally like the first 10 seconds of actual songs. And those are like they're 10, 15 seconds or so. And those are all really fun and exciting. So that's why TikTok has worked. Fun fact, I just want to read this fun fact. When you create IGTV, the algorithms push your content just like when you use their filters. Perfect. Thank you, Kalima. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
So oh yeah, yeah. And another thing with you know, back to what you were saying about the music, I think that people really need to pay attention to that. Like, I think that it's dope that you can add your own music to TikTok, because I've seen, you know, like these challenges, for example. You don't necessarily have to make your own challenge, but if you participate in these challenges and you're replacing it with your own music, you know, you are doing yourself. Well, I mean, I hope your song's good, first of all. It kind of has to work out, right? Like, people have to like your song, kind of has to fit. But I've seen people add their songs to challenges, and then it was like, bro, like this doesn't even fit with the beat. Like you have a slow song, and then people are like doing this. Like no, you know,
I know.
make it make sense. But what I'm saying is that you have an opportunity there for, you know, your song to just reach the masses. You know, and that Don't Rush challenge. There was actually a guy who replaced it with his song, and his song was dope. He's like in somewhere overseas in like Europe or something. His name is like Hebe or something. Like it's like HE3B. And I ended up following him, and then I ended up adding his song to my iTunes playlist. You know what I'm saying? I don't rap that shit, listen to it like, I don't know, at least 10 times. So I don't really know how much money you make off of that, but if you have multiple people, so say 100 people did that, 1,000 people did that, and they listened to it 10 times, now you got yourself like 10,000, 100,000 plays. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that counts for something. It translates to some type of money. And if it doesn't, then you at least got more exposure, you know? So I think that's something that people should pay attention to and take advantage of at this time.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And Brandon made a really good point. Like, it seems like if your song isn't on TikTok, like if you don't have a TikTok dance, you're gonna have a harder time. I mean, like we've kind of, from the music perspective, and I'm not like a music professional, I just love music in general, but I just want to talk to my music people as well. Like, if you looked at kind of the this kind of generational uptick in people doing these challenges and having these sort of dances attached to their songs, it's engagement. You know what I mean? Like, and that's ultimately the point of this conversation that we're even having is like, how do you get engagement? For your music people, TikTok is a great platform for actually being on there because if you can get enough people to take part in that dance challenge, don't think about the song being played. Don't, or rather, don't just think about the song being played on TikTok. Think about the people who had to record that song multiple times, which means that they had to listen to that song multiple times.
Mm,
So you just got plays off of people even trying to do the dance challenge. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So even if you're not getting your like if you're getting your music on what's it called on Apple Music or Spotify, even though that's where your money's coming in from, don't discount the importance of having some sort of a branded challenge because by doing that, you are creating engagement. People are tuning in. And again, those people who are actually doing the challenge have to listen to that song to do the challenge. So it's a really like perfect way, like a roundabout way of getting marketing and attention drawn towards you. Because then, you know, everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing. So, oh, that challenge looks fun. I want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like the relevance then of all this. Let's just and then that was like the dire question for today.
I know. It's just, you said it. You called it. You were like, yo, this is going to be just like our phone calls. Like, it's going to be like 3 hours are passed by and we don't even realize it.
Right.
um,
But we definitely we're gonna max out. We're gonna probably end this at 2 because 2 hours because it looks like they give you an hour each time. So um,
okay.
but I think we
Dope.
should be good because we probably have like another about 30 to 40 minutes. But yeah, and we got more questions. So
Yeah, well, just as another invitation, just anybody who's tuning in now, if you have questions about engagement, about content creation with your own personal brand, your own personal business, shoot a message in the comment and, we're definitely keeping an eye on what people are asking. So we'll be happy to help you guys out. But yeah, engagement and relevance is the topic right now. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Um, Honestly, personality for starters is everything. Like everything. Like, and it's funny because like it's something that I personally battled with. Like I'm very like specific about the time that I want to put in to like people just in general. So to like put my own personality out on the internet and to like be, maintain that sort of relevance takes a certain amount of energy from me to do it. But the flip side to that is the other reason why it was a challenge for me is thinking, oh, thanks, Amanda. The reason why that was so important or interesting to me is that there are also a lot of people, no matter who you are, that want to see exactly you. And a great example of that is, the late Lil Peep, right? Like, no, like
The
real
late
talk.
little feet. I just the way you put it. Just had to giggle.
But I'm saying, because like, think about it. He's a white dude who's rapping poorly with a goth aesthetic, and
I
and
never listened to him.
right, right. But that's because he's not for you, right? But
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But like, think about that. A white guy who's rapping poorly with a gothic aesthetic. That's not all he is. That's not all he was. And if you ask any one of his fans, they're like die-hard fans. Like, you cannot take that away from them. But he's an excellent lesson because if there's a market for a white, gothy, poor rapper to actually make it the way that he was making it,
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? Like,
because he connected to his audience really well.
Right. He connected to exactly who his people are, his own audience. So, that drives home the point that if you're afraid of sharing your personality, if you're afraid or concerned about being the person that you actually are and you're trying to, show up, and I see that question, so I'll make sure to pop in for Lauren there. But in terms of, your personality, there's somebody, or not just somebody, but there are groups of people out there who will support you and who are interested in you. So don't let your own apprehension about yourself hold you back from sharing, because there is somebody who will definitely pop on and be like, yo, this is what I'm talking, like, this guy gets it, he understands, this woman, this person, they get me, I want to learn more about them because I can relate. So don't hold yourself back.
What's up, Lane?
It ties into something else. So
what is it exactly? Because I can't understand. Was she asking?
Pricing fluctuation. So example, I have a set. I have a set price I give my general customers for a photo shoot, and I was approached for a shoot and they expressed money concerns. This gig was extremely convenient and I would have done nothing money making otherwise. Would you budge on your prices? Mm, the topic of money is always kind of a challenging one, because it's more important that you are budgeting for what your needs are. So reading this question, the challenge that I have with the question isn't so much that somebody's asking you for a price, a fluctuation of price. It's a little bit more to do with that your price isn't broken down into different segments. Like, you don't have your shoot price, then your edit price, then your, if you have a delivery or a book price, for example, like if you print things and that sort, if you print a book out or you print some sort of a like pamphlet or just a fun little thing that you might print. So I would say for starters, definitely look at your pricing and break it down first before I'm going to answer this question. And have those different elements, because then it becomes less about you remove or lessening your personal integrity with your budget, with your pricing, and it becomes more with, well, I'm sorry, this is the price for these things, but we can start getting rid of some of these options if we want to bring the price down. So I would handle it more that way, but at the same time, yeah, you're having too much fun with that.
I thought that was a good point.
So yeah, and that kind of ties into your relevance. You know what I mean? Like, your engagement with your customers, with your clients, you'll come across as more professional if you have your pricing section or segmented out. And then, so again, people can feel more comfortable, or rather, not even just your clients, your customers, you'll feel more comfortable letting some of those options go, because in your mind, they're options and not the importance and the value that you're placing on your work as a whole. So I would look at it that way, personally. Yeah. Hope I answered.
Did she mean to say it was extremely convenient? Because I wasn't sure, because I feel like if it's convenient for you, then you can definitely have some leeway in what you're charging. If it's inconvenient, then I definitely would not even really, I wouldn't consider it. So that's why I was a little confused, because I didn't know if she typed it, if there was a typo there.
It sounds almost like it's convenient because of this situation, because of the quarantine right now. Like, I think it's just a lot of us.
Money-wise, convenient.
Yeah, so I think it might have been from that perspective. I mean, and then just to now take what I said and go back on it a little bit, I mean, yeah, sis, like make your money, boo boo. Like honestly, right now it's kind of a tough time, so a lot of places are fluctuating, but as long as you can sell it with you coming out on top, I would also say that as well. You know what I mean? So like if you call it like a quarantine promo or, you know, an isolation discount or whatever,
Whoa, whoa.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, make sure that your wording is putting you
Quarantine
on
pro.
top of the situation instead of, you know, making you feel like you're coming down. Because again, as a creative, what we're producing is coming from right here. It's coming from your soul. So if you feel like you're coming down off of it, if you feel like you're going lower than what you would accept generally, then you know that's going to mess up with what you're producing. It's going to mess up your whole the cycle of inspiration for your creativity. So you really have to almost in your mind reframe the situation so that you are on top of it as opposed to I gave them a discount because you know I'm low on work kind of a thing, you know. So that's I would answer that question that way.
Okay. Well, she clarified. She clarified. So that makes sense. I don't know what the money situation was, but if it's convenient for me, you know what I'm saying, and all that, then that would definitely add to the positives. And I think it's fair to say you want to like weigh your positives and your negatives when it comes down to shoots. You know what I mean? Even if you're getting a good amount of money, you still want to think about things that make you happy. And I think that's basically what Fresco was saying because, you know, you can get let's say $2,000 for a gig or something, right? And but if it's hard to actually get through and complete, and you're like dragging your feet because you don't really like it or it's inconvenient for
Mhm.
you, then that's not really a situation that you want to get yourself into, you know? So always think about, you know, what's good for your soul as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Lauren, thank you for clarifying. And yeah, also thanks again for asking the questions. Again, this is totally open. I see Amanda has a comment here. So, for the right clientele, if they promote you on social media, then deals can be made. Make sure it will benefit you in some way. Absolutely. You know, like, and actually, you guys were talking, you and Tiff were talking about that yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, if it benefits you in some way, and you're willing to accept that benefit in lieu of the money and you realize that that will benefit you in some way, then go for it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if it is a valid and valuable exposure, if they are handling it correctly, and you know it's something that will benefit you both, you're not coming out of pocket for some of the things, they're not coming out of pocket for something, then yeah, absolutely make it valuable for the both of you. But don't get trapped in that either, because
Yeah.
plenty of people are always like, yo, can we do this? Can we do that? And honestly, I just don't even respond half the time. If I don't see the value in it, I'm just like, yeah, it could be like a best friend, like a buddy, like I'm just not responding. Like if it just doesn't work for me, it's not worth it. Like,
Yeah. So I mean, I think too, it's fair for us to say that also depends on where you are in your career, right? Because some things that you know you may have taken 5 years ago, you're not necessarily going to take now because it doesn't hold the same value for you. Um,
mm,
a lot of time, it's about the relationship that you're building. So I've taken jobs where you know it's a little bit less than I would, but I was able to build a relationship with that company or whatever. And the next time they booked me again and I got paid either what I wanted or a little bit more, you know, or I just got consistent work. And sometimes you know, as a professional, someone that's actually been like living off of this for the past 3 years, one thing I can tell you that you want to build good relationships with people and you want to have clients that are going to consistently work with you, because if you're always relying on one-off gigs, you know, it's just going to be very hard for you to actually live. And then you don't want to be concerned about spending your time. You have 24 hours in a day. You don't want to spend all this time searching for the gigs, right? When you
mm,
have time to actually work. So we definitely have to consider that as well. And you know, when people are asking you for stuff, and just know, like it's not easy, but at some point you kind of figure out by the way people are speaking and stuff like that, and the things that the compromises that they're willing to make for you when they ask you for a compromise, you can tell you know, who's going to be a good person to stick with and who's just kind of trying to get off over on you. You know what I mean? And if they're consistently asking you for favors, then like favors that are really hard for you to actually be able to do, then maybe that's just not somebody that you want to work with, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely.
I'm going to
No,
just a horn for myself.
I was really just trying to find that horn. I was like, hopefully she'll notice I'm over here. So I couldn't even find it. I wanted to give you a horn for that because I absolutely adore that response. Yes, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like Tiff is saying, one hand washes the other. And actually, um, there was another IG live that I went on right after yours that was Vlad and Mia, and they were absolutely fantastic. One of the things they were talking about is sometimes we spend so much energy trying to get into the same room as like these higher up people. And what we don't realize is that the people that will more likely than not get us into those rooms are the people that you build with. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't worry so much about like getting into contact with these high end people, but when you do get into those rooms, make sure that you make an impression because that's the flip side of it too, is like it's all about growth. It's like hopscotch. You don't just want to stop at level 4, level 5. You want to go level 6, level 7. Tiff was talking about video games yesterday. Like you want to go 8, 9, 10. Like you don't want to stop. It's level up every single time. Like perfect example, when I started doing event photography, my first few gigs were all free. Like I just did it because I got free drinks and I got to hang out really cool places. Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't and I got to like photograph like really interesting and like awesome people. And after doing those events for so long, they started paying me after, they were inviting me to come to all these other events, but they were paying me after a while. And then from there, I also kept building with other people as well. So, don't just put all your eggs in one basket either. Like, just because the phone calls are coming in doesn't mean you shouldn't still be making phone calls. You just have now to make less of them. Now the phone calls become more quality phone calls because you know who those people are, you know which numbers to dial. And so I went from just walking into some showroom and doing a free gig to, like you said earlier, now I work with Moet Hennessy and they're a consistent client. They're always checking in. They're always like, all right, we got this event, we got that event. And just before this quarantine, like I had mad events with them lined up. So it's that mixture of personality,
I was just
engagement.
about to say
Yeah,
that.
you
Rather
know,
how to tie it all in.
yeah, all of it. Like,
It
you're
all works together.
yeah, the quality actually, and the sad part is, and I'm gonna be 100% honest, like you could be a terrible content creator in terms of the quality of your work. Like I am
Yeah.
I hate to admit this, like it's almost like icing on the cake that I'm good at what I do because people compliment me more for being a personable person, for being respectful, for, responding on time. Like I get more compliments for that than I do about my work. And I know the work is good. Like, if I fish for a compliment, I'll get one. But it's mostly they want to feel connected and attached to you in some sort of a way. You know what I mean? So like continue that build, stay humble, and remember who you came up with. Like those are all important for sure.
Facts, facts. Dang.
Oh, it's another one. Ah! Yo, we need to tally these up. I think I'm at like 100. I'm like at 100 blowhorns right now. Yo,
Took a
yeah,
nosedive.
your phone just said,
So I was on full charge before we started this, but apparently this thing must take up a lot of battery power because it had thing had popped up saying that my phone was on 10%, so that's why I had to plug it in. I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe my battery. You know how iPhones are too. When you have it for a little while, then the batteries get weaker and stuff like that.
I want to say I would know how they are, but watch all my iPhone people just like leave the live stream right now. I tell them I'm on Android right now.
Hey, I used to be on Android too. I actually, I mean, I don't care that much. So I started to care a little bit more only because like I have an Apple computer, so you know I can AirDrop my shit, and that's really important for me as a content creator because the photos, you know, when you want stuff quick and videos, like when I'm done with a project, a lot of times people ask me they want it on their phone, so I gotta AirDrop it to myself. And so
Mhm.
that's really my biggest thing when it comes down. But besides that, I use my phone like any other. You know what I mean? I don't need no extra shit.
I
Somebody said,
just,
"Oh,
yo,
I'm about to go home." Damn, that
yo, I just,
phone came in heavy.
I'm saying it's like a cult. Nah, I got a Mac. I totally understand. I have a Mac. I have a Google phone. Everybody thinks it's an iPhone, so I get away. But yeah, man. I mean, I see. Here's the thing that's funny to me about AirDrop is AirDrop technology is basically Bluetooth, and I can still do Bluetooth on a Mac computer. Like,
Yeah,
so it's like that's cute. I will tell you, I get mad as hell when
it
people are
is
like,
a
"Oh,
little
can we
simpler. Let's
FaceTime?"
admit. Let's
You
admit
know,
it is a little simpler. Come on, all you gotta do is tap the shit, and it's right there. It recognizes all your Apple devices. I don't gotta do nothing else.
damn,
I've never
let me
used a
let me
Bluetooth, so I
close the blinds because all this shade that's coming in, I just need to like remove it from my life. This negativity, just nah, yeah, no. Shout out to my Apple people. Thank you, Steph. I love you too. I always and forever will love you, boo boo. Just know I got an Android, and we could just leave the conversation at that. Um, no, but I think we were kind of tail ending that element of what's it called of personality and of what's it called? What was that other
relevance.
relevance? Yeah. Um, and I've talked a lot about how like the two kind of go hand in hand, relevance and damn, why am I like blanking on words? Relevance and personality.
Personality. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want people to get stuck on this concept that when we talk about relevance, it's exclusively focused on your cell phone. It's focused on your apps, your Instagrams, your Facebooks, your whatever, your TikTok, whatever. I don't want people to get stuck on that. Because I want to keep over, even if I have to say it over and over again, like the impression that you make on your clients, on the people that you work with and work for, all of those all of those like those moments will be remembered more so than anything else. And you could argue that people will remember a negative thing over a positive thing, but think of the flip side of that. If they're never thinking negatively of you and they can't remember anything positive, at least they're not thinking anything negatively of you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I think we're really in this society where it's like, it's constant gratification and satisfaction. So we almost don't even realize when we are being satisfied or when we do experience gratitude because, like, we're constantly trying to feed that part of ourselves. So what really hits are those negative moments, those things that make you feel kind of uncomfortable and weird. So for your clients, for your people, if you can at least not make them think like poorly of you, then you already have a head start, I would say.
Uh,
And then you can start incorporating social media and all those other elements where your personality shines, whether it be a TikTok. Like, go on my story once this is done. That was a really dumb little TikTok I put together. Like, it was just some cute little like quarantine joke thing, but I can say that it was an authentic thing that I created. I wasn't trying to be anybody different than myself. And when people feel that, when people see that, they 1000% will connect. And Lauren says, can confirm I'm a one woman show and my personality got three sisters to book her for their weddings within a 2 year period. So right there, the proof is in the pudding. It's all personality, it's all engagement, and that nice little taste you leave in people's mouths. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because you don't want to leave a bad taste. you know. But yeah,
um,
but then in terms of relevance on social media, do your TikToks, be fun, just do whatever. Lauren posts, well, I don't know if she posts it, but she definitely sends me pictures of food a lot, and it looks banging. And if I don't remember her for her photos, I will certainly remember her for her food. I will say that.
That's dope.
I will
So,
say that.
so she is chef too at the same time.
You know what I'm saying? Be multifaceted. Let's go.
Right, right.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
with that said, then like, what kind of things can people post maybe? Like based on your personality, besides food. I know some people are like really into sneakers, but like, do you
Mm.
have type of suggestions on things that people could post that might be relevant to what they do?
Yeah, well, so like, I'm kind of, I guess, I'm kind of like different in the sense that my Instagram feed is only my photography. Like even posting the flyer for today like felt weird because to me in my mind, my Instagram feed is more of a gallery and a portfolio than anything. Um,
What about
but
your story?
but
I
yeah,
agree, but I
that's it.
post a lot of different stuff on my story. I don't post those things on my actual page.
Yeah, no, 1000%. My story, the sky's the limit. If I want to post some like weird thing that I'm like doing, or like like similar to Lauren, I've put stuff that I've cooked on occasion on Instagram. Like I've put element like snippets from movies that I was watching that I thought were hilarious on Instagram on
Me
stories.
too.
Right, right. You know what I mean? Like, and those are all those little things that people will subconsciously attach your name to. So they may not realize it, but it's, your mind and your eyes are constantly processing information. So if you have like that funny snippet of a movie and on the top left corner it says, posted by K the creator, they're going to associate that moment of enjoyment to you, and they're going to bring that subconsciously to every engagement that they have with you. So even if it isn't specifically you, those very subtle subliminal moments are happening whether they're intentional or not, you know. So to go back to the example of people who post shoes, like there is a massive sneakerhead community. You know what I mean? And so like even if that's not your main thing, people from that community, if they see like a certain shoe, a certain sneaker, and they're like, wow, that's rare, or wow, it's like, it's worth so much, they're gonna now associate, wow, well, if this person has that, oh, this is somebody I can mess with. Maybe I'll hire them. Maybe I'll, see what a rate is or booking is. You know what I mean? For me personally, I'll do movie clips. I'll do like little stories of myself just being silly or even just out and about, just going on a hike or whatever. Like I saw like this log the other day that had like 10 little turtles on it. And I put that on my story because I was like, yo, that is mad cute. Like, look at these cute little turtles just sunbathing out here. They're not scared of me. They're just chilling. Like, and that kind of, again, that's a very feel good moment. So that feel good moment is going to subliminally be attached in people's minds to my name. It's
Yeah.
just it's all psychology.
Did you ever hear? I'm gonna look up his name really quick.
Mm.
But basically, I was watching Netflix, and it was like the documentary about all the like people that went viral on Instagram. And this one kid, he lives in like Pennsylvania in the woods or something, and deers always like come out into his yard. So one day he like did a video of a dare, but he was like also he was using his personality because he was like saying shit like commentary or whatever, and it went viral. And
Hmm.
I don't know what that boy used to do before. He was very young, so probably nothing because I think he was like 19 or something at the time. But it exploded so much to the point where he made an entire brand.
Hmm.
He started going out every day, just talking to the dare and recording the dare and himself to where he gave them names, and like he was doing this consistently.
Hmm.
And people would tune in. He started making merch and all this shit. And I don't know, he just came to mind because I'm like, dude, he made a whole career
Hmm.
and a business because he's making money off of using his personality and being fun and being funny and using the dare that was in his backyard, you know? Um,
Yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about. I'm terrible with names, but that guy is mad funny, and because he names all the deer like Latin names, because he's Latino too. So like he would always be like, "Oh, why you gotta be like that?" Like you'd always be like
yeah,
engaging with them. And I think the craziest part about that was that the deer never ran away. Like they were always kind of with him while it was happening, and he knew each deer by like name. Like he could point each one out as well. He would feed them like apples and like little
yeah,
carrots and snacks and shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's another example. Like, there's a community of people who want to watch a dude like chat to deer all day. Like,
yeah.
you know,
And mind you, we're not saying go do that, but the point is he had it in his heart, and it was just something funny. He was using his personality on the gram, you know what I mean? Just like allowing people to see who he is as a person, not caring about what anybody thought, and then it just turned out to be a hit. You know what
right?
I'm saying? And his name
No,
is Kelvin Payna. I don't know way it's not showing his grant. Well, let me click on it. Maybe it'll show me the Instagram. But it looks like his actual name is Kelvin Payna. I don't know how to say it. Has an accent
oh,
on the end.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pena,
Pena?
Pena, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody eats.
I was on his Instagram like 2 years ago. I think was like when I was really into watching those videos because like it was just mad. Like yo, I live in nature. I see deer all the time, but none of them ever want to eat an apple out of my hand. So like, imagine how I felt living vicariously through him, man. You know, I was like, I was about
Brother
to,
Man?
hmm?
Brother Nature?
Brother Nature. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. That's cool. He
Brother
got
Nature. Yeah.
he has 458,000 views on this one video. It's only 2 minutes, you know. Back to the point too, don't make your content too long because nobody this is fun and everything, but ain't gonna spend a whole day watching what you so make it straight to the point, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. And use the platforms the way that kind of they were meant to be used. Like I've been asking myself a lot about like, for example, a lot of people are using Zoom for conference calls. There's this new app called House Party. I don't know if you've heard of it, but House Party is actually really cool. So I'll talk
Yeah.
about it in a minute. But like but Skype, like nobody uses Skype anymore, and it's not like I don't think Zoom works too differently. But
Yeah.
for some reason, like, I get annoyed because there's all these apps that constantly come out. But in terms of relevance, if these apps gain legs, gain traction, it's kind of your responsibility to at least check it out and see what it's about. You know what I mean? And like, as long as you have a decent idea of how it works and you have the creativity to put into that app, then is definitely something that you should explore. Because again, in terms of relevance, if people are on one platform and then they migrate to another one, all your Instagram followers just left. What are you going to do with that? You know what I mean?
Right. So you gotta be able to pivot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It says we got a minute and a half left.
All
So
right.
to wrap up, if there's any last things that you wanted to say, or if anybody had any last questions, this is your time.
Word. Well, let me just drop. I was going to drop a few names of people on YouTube that I follow.
We're gonna do a part two as well, y'all. Just letting you know, because we can talk for days. So I think it's only right if we do a part two.
I'm with it for a part two. I'm definitely with it. So let me, because it's just a minute, but Pix Imperfect is like one of the top people for learning anything about Photoshop. Absolutely fantastic. The other guy is Flern, so that's learn with a PH in front of it. Um, Peter McKinnon, and all these I can like. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Peter McKinnon's dope. So if you want on the story, I'll just like type a list out so people could check that out. Um, F Stoppers is another great resource. Tut Video, like tutorial video, so Tut Vid, Tutvid. And last for the taking of photos is Jessica Kobese. She's phenomenal. Like I love the way that she teaches, so she's really fantastic. Yeah, BK Finest. I'll definitely drop that list for everybody.
Go in your
Um,
story to find the list.
yeah, my
I'll
story.
repost
I'm
it.
sure. Yeah, Kay, I'm sure you're gonna repost, but I'm also gonna add the video. What's it?
So we got cut off. We're gonna just hop back on real quick. How you doing? How y'all doing?
I will not be silenced.
It kind of sucks. You don't have any control. It just literally just goes. Like, what the fuck?
That was not a minute. That was like
It was
40.
counting down. I know it goes by quick, right?
I was like, no, it does. I remember thinking, I was like, yo, am I gonna have enough to say for an hour? And I'm just like, yo, can I shut up now? Like,
I told you because I was like, that's why I was like, if we might as well make it more conversational. I didn't want it to be cookie cutter because I know when we talk, we talked about some stuff that or got more in detail about some things, than we even thought. So it was good.
right, yeah. No, and I just saw that Kiki put a post up. She was like, look, I just took a selfie with tips from Fresco and Kay, and
Hey,
I was like, what?
that's what I'm talking about. That's what we need, y'all, for sure. Like anything, if y'all like what we saying and what we doing, please repost, please talk about it. Please continue to ask these questions because the more support you give us, the more we can, continue to do for y'all.
Right, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And your engagement is everything. You know what I mean? Like, even if you hit us in a DM and you have questions, if there's anything in particular that you want to learn about, because this was just some we wanted to give to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like we have a formula or format. It was just like, Kay was asking herself, what is something that would be valuable to me? You know what I mean? And so this was something that we came up with, and we were like, all right, well, let's share. But if there's any other options, questions, concerns, we could clearly host a whole nother episode. So,
But yeah, so you said you were gonna put a list, or you were gonna put the list, the video stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was just hoping, just in case anybody did want to pop back in. But yeah, just to kind of wrap up, I was gonna on my story post a list of those resources and names um, of YouTubers and apps that people can use for both video and for photos. The video ones that you suggested, I wrote down, and then the photo ones that I'm familiar with, I also have written down here. So yeah, just pop on the story once this is over. Give it a little second because I got to write it all out, and I'll pop that on my story for you guys to check out. And you could follow these people, watch these videos. Actually, there was another one I completely forgot about. This guy's name is Naik Pratik. He's really good with portraits, like portrait editing. Like he is really good. Like he's one of the only people that I've ever paid over $100 to actually learn one of their courses, and it was so worth it. Like, so I'll definitely add their name up as well. That'll be cool.
So
Hey, welcome back, Tiff. We were just about to sign off, but just wanted to make sure everybody knew that on the story, the resources that we talked about, we're gonna put it on both of our stories. I'm sure Kay will repost whatever I add. So
yeah, so any of my followers, go ahead, follow Fresco. It's underscore, right? Underscore wake up Fresco.
no,
Um
no, just wake up Fresco.
Just
That's
there's
all.
no okay, I'm sorry. Just wake up Fresco. So make sure you go and follow him. If you're not following me already, definitely hit that follow button.
Mhm.
K the creator with a K. Um, Pretty sure you know how to find me by now if you're attached to this live. So nice to see you guys. Thank you for tuning in.